I honestly expected Surrender to feel a lot more eventful than this. It has been 2 months since my last Surrendered series video, and I was expecting to come on to have like all of these crazy updates or all of these just new developments or things that happened. And honestly, not a whole lot has really changed. I wouldn't say that I've fallen off, but I've slowly started being less intentional than I was when I started. So when I first started, I was just all in. I made sure that I always had all the groceries, all the snacks, everything that I needed all the time. And so now I've just stopped being intentional about ordering stuff in advance, about planning my meals in advance. And then I wonder why I don't have what I need. So I either just eat something that is not as desirable or I just don't eat that much. And I'm someone who, if I don't eat on a consistent schedule, then I don't really get that hungry. So I need to wake up first thing in the morning, eat something, and then from there throughout the day, then my body will be like, okay, I need something to eat. So currently, I am just in the process of being intentional again and just making sure that I am doing whatever I need to set myself up for success later on. And then when it comes to the 10K steps that I talked about on the last video, same thing, was not being intentional about that. And I think it was just me trying to make things perfect. I was expecting to have this perfect daily routine that included a walk and to just go for the same walk around my neighborhood and just for everything to have to be a certain way. So when the circumstances didn't allow for that, then I just didn't do it at all. Instead of saying, okay, sometimes I can do the walk around my block. Sometimes it looks like doing my walking pad at home. Like, it doesn't have to be this perfectly planned out thing. So I'm just in the process of starting over again with that. And then the other thing was the sleepover with God. Same thing. I just let life get in the way. And if I don't put something on my calendar, it does not happen. And I did not put it on my calendar. So it didn't happen. But I am, again, trying to be intentional with that. I have scheduled a date for it. So I'm just really looking forward to that. And same thing, I think it's not that I didn't want to do it. It's not that I didn't have the time. I just was like, okay, it has to be a certain way. I want to make sure I have my snacks. I want to make sure my office is clean. I want to make sure this and it needs to be that. And then I just ended up getting busy and not doing it. So overall, I would say the overarching thing for me is to just let go of having to be a perfectionist because it just stops me from doing so many different things. And I think oftentimes perfectionism can just start to feel like we're being productive, or it can feel like we have control when we don't. And I'm just really starting to see that me being a perfectionist does not serve me in the way that I once thought that it did. So again, back to just this whole surrendered series, like I said, I was expecting for it to just be like all of these huge updates or to just see God doing these grand gestures. But it reminds me of a story that I heard in one of my Bible study videos that I was watching. And she talked about how she asked her son what he wanted to be when he was older. And he said that he wanted to do exactly what she does. And of course, like, she felt really good about it. And so she was like, well, what is it exactly that you think that mommy does? And he was like, I just want to be just like you. I just want to do nothing. And she just thought it was so funny because here she is. It was actually Priscilla Shirer. And here she is, this whole accomplished author, speaker, all of the things, all of the accomplishments. But to her son, he just thought that she did nothing because she stayed at home with her children and did all of, the things around the house. And he would just see her doing either that or being on her computer. And he didn't know she was working on her book, but he was like, yeah, I just want to be like you, where I can just be at home and just, go like this on my computer. And she tied that to how oftentimes with God, when we are going through certain seasons, it seems like he's just doing nothing, when in all actuality, there's so much going on behind the scenes that we don't even realize. And so that's what I'm starting to realize with just surrendering my life, surrendering my ambitions to God, is that it is not going to always look like this huge spectacle or this huge show. There can be so much that God is orchestrating behind the scenes that we don't even realize. And so I'm learning to just take a step back. And even if it looks like nothing is changing or nothing is moving, for me to just remember who God is and to remember what the Bible, what his word says that he is, that he has plans for us to prosper and not to harm us, and that he knew us even before we were in our mother's womb, and that he had plans and that he had a purpose for our life. So I'm just learning to just let go of control and to just trust in that, even if I don't see anything, or how the Bible says that faith is the evidence of not me forgetting. Faith is the evidence of things that are unseen, but that are hoped for. Something like that. But I just try to remember that, and that I just need to trust and to have faith that God is working everything out on my behalf, and that it does not need to look like how I think it needs to look. It doesn't need to be done in the way that I would try to do it myself, or that I feel that it needs to be done in order for it to happen. And that was just a really huge revelation for me, and it brought me a lot of peace. And I hope that it brings you peace too, if you are just wrestling with a lot of just the same thoughts and feelings and emotions that I've been dealing with in this season. So I don't have, like I said, I don't have these huge updates, but I do feel like I've grown a lot just in the last 2 months. I've gotten to know God a lot better, and in turn, I've gotten to know myself a lot better. And it just feels really good to be able to just rest in knowing who God is, and to just rest in knowing how much he loves us, how much he cares for us, and to just let that be that. So that is all that I have for today. I am really, really, really going to try to be intentional about doing my sleepover with God, so that I can then tell you all about it on our next surrendered update. But that is all that I have for today, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.